Well, hello and welcome. Thanks for joining me. This is Ros Jones, your business coach with my weekly podcast show, Bold Business Bits, coming to you from Yorkshire. This is where I have a great conversation with a phenomenal female business boss. We share some of the bold stuff they do, lessons they've learnt, adversities they've overcome, and the fun they have. And then I'll be dipping into my toolkit and sharing a top tip. Business can be lonely, so make sure you join us each week and be part of our show. Well, hello and welcome to episode 34 of Bold Business Bits. This is Ros Jones and today I'm joined by Julie Gunnell, payroll manager of Garbett and Elliott and former Lord Mayor of York. Julie talks with pride and gratitude about what she achieved in her year as Lord Mayor in the City of York, and in particular the work she did to raise funds and awareness for IDAS, the Independent Domestic Abuse Services. I'm sure you'll be interested in what she has to say about her experience meeting people who have experienced domestic abuse, male and female alike. And her enthusiasm about her role and opportunities working for accountants Garbett and Elliott in York is just wonderful to hear. Not only in the way she encourages her team on their personal development journeys, but also embracing the charitable work the firm is dedicated to each year. As Julie says, it's important to keep fresh ideas coming through to keep enthusiasm and drive alive. Listen and enjoy our show. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you very much. Hi, Ros, and thank you for inviting me today.
It's a pleasure. This is your fourth year at Garbett and Elliott, I understand.
It is, yes. I can't believe it. It's gone so quickly. But yes, I manage a payroll bureau for Garbett and Elliott.
In York?
Yeah. In York, yeah.
And before that, you were the Lord Mayor of York.
I was indeed.
Okay.
Yes, in 2013-14, I was the Lord Mayor of York.
Fantastic. So how did that happen? Tell us how you came to be the Lord Mayor of York.
Well, to be the Lord Mayor of York, you need to be an elected councillor, local councillor, which I was elected back in 2007. So I was an elected councillor for 12 years from when I stepped down. I held a couple of portfolios. So I was the shadow spokesperson for corporate services for the City of York Council. And then I also in 2011, took the role of executive member for corporate services for the City of York Council. I did this for 4 years. I don't know whether you can remember, but back in 2000 and I guess it started around 2008, 2009, the York City Council's offices were sort of peppered across the City of York, and then they all moved together into West offices. Yeah. So that was one of my roles when I was the cabinet person, to lead on the transition from the different offices to actually be located at West offices in a brand new open
it's
plan.
amazing.
It was amazing. It was quite challenging at times, and I think off the top of my head, I think it was a £43 million project, which happily did complete on time and in budget. But I learnt so much through them couple of years where I was the lead person for that. You learn so much. So you've got all your exit strategy from all your different properties. You've got facilities management issues. You've obviously got the building of the new premises, and then when you get to a stage where people can start moving out and then moving in, like in this case in West offices, the IT work, the facilities managers work, the HR, it's just huge. And I think as a whole, the council and the lead officers of City of York Council did an absolute amazing job. And one of the best things about it, obviously, is it's fully accessible. Charities also use it. It's used by different entities for meetings. And so it really is, in my view, like a hub, a community at the heart of the City of York.
Yeah. How many people then are in that building?
I think when I was there, so it may have changed, and it depends. There are some, like Citizens Advice is located in that building. Yeah. You've also, there was Credit Union that goes down there. So there's different people that use it at different times. But I think actually permanently in there is around 500-600, I think. Right. But I wouldn't quote me on that. And then you've got a second office because you needed two, so you've still got James Street. Right. So that's where all the refuge and all areas under, similar to that are undertaken and coordinated.
It's amazing, amazing achievement. So you must feel quite proud of that.
Do you know, I guess that time in my life, you learn, because corporate services actually covers the budget. So I was the lead member on the budget. I learnt so much around capital and revenue and the budget, local government finance, central government finance. You learn absolutely masses when you're lucky enough to be in that position. It was really, really good. So you've got the finance, you've got the HR, payroll, facilities management came under me, asset management came under me, IT came under me. I was part of the that got York as one of the fastest connected cities in the country. That all came. So and what I walked away, I stepped down in. When did I step down? In 2016. Right. Okay. Yeah.
What do you think made you the favourite for the Lord Mayor?
I did 4 years of being a shadow spokesman for corporate services. I then was lucky enough to get elected and be the cabinet post where you can really influence and make decisions. And on what I didn't mention neither, it was under my watch. I am very proud to say that we actually had a citywide social inclusion policy with a dedicated committee, and more importantly with a budget. So it wasn't just lip service. Yeah, absolutely. So we did that. I think once we'd moved into West offices and I'd done several budgets, sometimes in life you have to think, is it time to pass it on to someone else, to keep them fresh ideas and everything else coming through? And I think in politics, whether it be local, regional or national, I actually do think you need fresh people, not necessarily young people, just fresh people to come through and just keep that enthusiasm and drive going. And I felt at that point in my life that I wanted to step down and someone else. There's other people, you're not invincible in life. Sometimes we may think we are, but the reality is we're not. So I stepped down, but I stepped down because I was actually approached of the leader of the council at that time, and what he said was, Julie, do you fancy doing... because economic development came under the portfolio as well. And he said, would you be interested in becoming the Lord Mayor? Because we want to strengthen the economic development within the city. With foreign investors, as well as local people, the Lord Mayor actually has a very valuable role to play in the city of York. And I just thought, fresh challenge, let's go for it. And then you have to go through a democratic process. It's not just a case of someone saying, do you want to be, and you say yes and you walk away. That's not quite the case. And it's finished by full council voting you in on that. And so that was good.
How did you feel when you were voted? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's a fantastic feeling. It really is a fantastic feeling, and I was quite excited. I'd chosen my two charities. So for me, I looked at the Lord Mayor year. I tried to make it as planned as possible and not just reactive to when you get invites to different functions or whatever. So I wanted a theme that was to run through my mayoral year. And the theme was around women and domestic violence. Okay. So as the Lord Mayor of York, you can choose a charity or charities and raise money. what I felt was I had a lot of skill set, a lot of knowledge. I'd worked in the voluntary sector prior to me being a counsellor, and I didn't want to be a glorified fundraiser. I saw that as a waste of a position where actually you've got a lot of influence.
Yeah.
So I chose my theme very carefully, and it was, as I say, it was around women and also domestic violence. But when I say women, that is women in general, all different backgrounds. But what I really wanted as well is to put an emphasis on business women within the city. Because part of my portfolio was economic development, I could see the people that were involved in the decision making within the city of York, and I didn't think it was fairly representative. I didn't think it was diverse enough for various reasons, and women being one of those factors.
Yeah.
But I also feel there was a deficit of representation from other parts of the community as well. So that's what I focused on. So I guess it's quite narrow. Well, not that women are narrow, because obviously we're very complex beings, but I wanted to focus on that, domestic violence. I chose IDAS as my charity. I fundraised and worked with them for several years before, so I knew them thoroughly, and the chief exec, Sarah, who I think's an amazing person. And also another charity that worked with children or young people that I probably describe as maybe fallen off the rails a little bit, but sometimes just actually horrendous challenges in their life through whether it's the home life or various other reasons. So they were the two charities that seemed to sit together. So that kick-started my year on those issues.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, you chose those charities, but in general, during your time in the role, do you get support? Do you know? It's like you're going from one position to this amazing opportunity. It's like, and I'm big into learning and development and stuff. So how did you manage? How did you?
Well, you have a couple of officers that help you. So because you have a diary meeting every week, and you say yes. You've got to have a really good reason if you say no to an invitation for a particular reason. So you've obviously got your charities. So and again, I can't underestimate. It wasn't just about the money, raising the money. That wasn't the key goal for me. The key goal was for me to raise awareness. Yeah. So it takes a couple of months before you settle in and everything's new to you, but you've got support. So every event that you go to, you've got practical support.
Right. Okay.
So you get briefed on everything you do. Yeah. All your speeches, and whether you've got to say a few words, you would do. I did myself. Yeah. I never did ever. Don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but speeches where I read, that just isn't me. Yeah. So I used to have some key bullet points, and then so if you did an after dinner speech or anything like that, sometimes it can be painful if you're listening to an after dinner speaker who reads something for the best will in the world. So that was one of the skills that I learned, and probably actually was one of the favourite that I came away with, and that's public speaking. I absolutely love it. So you can, so what I used to do, I'd have my briefing about what the event was, who the key people were, some of the key issues. So just have a few notes there to keep me focused. But when you first go to an event and you're introduced to certain people and you pick out little pieces of information about them, I got really good at being able to stand up and say something like, and Joe over there, and I know it's your birthday today. So it could be something as simple as that. Yeah. And reading your audience when they're looking at you and they're laughing, that is probably one of the best feelings in the world for me.
Fantastic. So I've got a couple of questions about that, really, to follow up what you've said there. But in terms of public speaking, and did you do much before, by the way?
Really? Well, I was a counsellor, so you have to get up in council.
Oh, yeah, so you're okay to stand up, but actually public speaking like that, Do you still get an opportunity to do any? Would you like to?
Yes, I do. Possibly not as much as I'd like to, but one of the things at Garbutt and Elliott, and with the role that I'm lucky to have, is that I do get to meet an awful lot of people. Obviously, there's a lot of payroll's actually quite complex. I won't get into the detail around there, but you've got pensions involved, benefits in kind, and so on and so forth. So whenever I can, I will get involved with seminars, because trust me, Ross, give me a mic and an audience and I'm away. I love it.
Good, I'm glad.
Yeah, it's probably an area that I'd like to do more of, but at the end of the day, when you're the Lord Mayor, you've got lots of things going on and you're interesting. And what I'd hate to be is like someone who lives in the past talking about things that have gone. In terms of, say, like this conversation now, for me, one of the biggest things, and I'm getting to do it actually at Garbutt and Elliott, is I still have a big affinity, I guess, to women and young women, and giving them encouragement and confidence to actually, you can achieve. If you think there's a barrier, think how you put it, take it down. Don't build them unnecessarily. And even through work, I will try, for our department, we are huge. I drive through training and education for the team, because I think if in your job role, if you are well trained, well educated within that role, you're naturally confident. And some people want certain things and maybe certain types of training because it suits them, and some people don't. And I think you can't have the same rule for each individual, and I think it's having that blend. But more than anything, it's having that opportunity and in just encouraging people to get involved with training and development. There's masses. Garbutt and Elliott do an awful lot around soft skills for all of the staff, which again, how to interact. And I think sometimes you'll see, I'll stick with the theme of women, although I'm absolutely confident it's applicable to young people right across the board. But sometimes if you have a networking event, it can something like that where I wouldn't hesitate twice now. But going back to my 20s, I would. Right, I wouldn't even have got up and spoken in front of an audience. And I can see people that are similar to that. So anything I can do, so I encourage my team when we have networking events, come down, find, see your clients and just say hello and have a little chat. And absolutely guaranteed by the time it's over and they walk back upstairs, they are all buzzing. But it's just a confidence. Sometimes it's just a confidence thing. Yeah.
Brilliant. So going back to the work you did while you were the Lord Mayor, what was, you talked about being proactive and not just about fundraising. So what difference do you think, or do you know, you made in terms of those charities that you did and the movement, if you like, about women in business in York?
Right, okay. Some key things that definitely make me smile. I may not have made everyone smile at the time, but hey-ho. So some key things. So I'll grab one straight away. So the charity ball, so I'll focus on the fundraising for a moment. The charity ball, that was all the money obviously went to the two charities, and it was a great opportunity. I had the mic, I had everyone there in black tie and ball gowns having to listen to me. So that was good. In terms of, there was an annual dinner for the University of York. And Greg Dykes was actually...
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He actually dedicated his whole after-dinner speech to me, the work that I'd done and around domestic violence.
Amazing.
And that is possibly one of the biggest accolades that what a compliment that was. What a compliment. I couldn't believe it. So you had so many influential people and diverse people in that room, a black tie event, and he dedicated the whole thing to me. So that was good.
Yeah,
but
fantastic.
On a different note, when I think I'd been in situ about 6 weeks or something like that, and I thought, right, I need to do something that's permanently going to support people that suffer from domestic violence. And I think it is worth saying this is not just for women. IDAS represents men as well. And obviously children are involved, boys and girls, or could be involved as well. So domestic violence is not just about women suffering. So I got a team. Kirsten England was the chief exec of the City of York Council at that time. I got the director of health. I got the chief exec of York Council for voluntary service, and one of the deputy provider. Well, I got senior representation from City of St John's University and York University. Sorry, I just lost my words there for a moment. I had Sue Rees was fundamental in being a part of this. I had a human rights group on it, so Jo Baker, who was the CEO then of International Service. So I had, and then some businesses as well. So there was about, I would say, probably around 20 people, male and female. And I'd done some research, and what I wanted was to get York accredited to the white ribbon status. So there's a procedure to go through, and you need very influential people to help. Well, first of all, I only had a year in as the Lord Mayor, so this couldn't drag on. This had to be done by the time I'd finished, else I would lose like my influence and authority, for a better description. So we all sat down, we made a plan, and a month before I stepped down, York was accredited to the York ribbon status. And for anyone who's not familiar with that, that is about men standing up and saying it's not acceptable to show any form of violence or disrespect to women. I had groups such as York City Football come out and support it, York Rugby League, so different sports entities. The Muslim section within York supported it. So there was a real, obviously I've mentioned the universities, I spoke at schools, spoke at different business things, and I have to say the York Press were absolutely amazing and gave me different coverage to promote issues that actually you think may not be a big issue, but it is a big issue. It is a massive. And I think out of all the things I thought I knew about DV and everything like that, but it wasn't until I was Lord Mayor and I was getting a reputation for this that I realised how big an issue it was. And I was horrified, and it wasn't just women coming up to me, it was men and women. And I don't know, if you're speaking about something, you normally get someone who says, oh, my sister or my auntie or my sister's friend or
someone
my brother's or someone who you know. But it wasn't. It was people speaking to me in a confidential way saying, I'm supporting you because this affected me when I was growing up, or I've just come out of an abusive relationship. And it was important to say that it wasn't just women, it was men. It was predominantly women, but there were men. And some that you would just, through total naivety, think, God, I can't believe that happened to you, which is a ridiculous thing to think. But actually, so I'm really proud of what I did around that area.
Fantastic. Do you carry on the legacy in some way?
I think in life you have to choose, don't you, what you can influence and what you like. And I worked for the voluntary sector for 14 years. I was involved in all sorts of charities, which is why I got involved with IDAS. It used to be Women's Aid and it changed to IDAS. And they were one of my clients when I worked at York CBS. When I've moved to Garbutt and Elliot, I am so lucky to have this job role. I get to meet so many people, so many businesses, so many individuals. I've got quite a large team, and I can do what I would like to, what's important to me. So that's bring people through, young people, but actually older people as well that maybe haven't got confidence or maybe even just maybe put limitations on themselves or whatever. So I actually, although I'm a payroll manager and I absolutely love payroll. If you're a payroll person, you can't help it. You always fall back into payroll. But for me, I've got the perfect job. I can use my marketing skills, just so many skills that I've learned all come together in this job role, which you would probably think is ridiculous. The other thing as well, Garbutt and Elliott have charities every year.
Right.
So we're just about to launch one of our charities. Now, it's all agreed and voted on. We've got an official launch, so I don't mind saying.
Yeah.
But actually, we have 2 offices, York and Leeds. So the York one will be the York Rescue.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. But riverboat.
Yeah.
So I met with them.
Yeah.
And again, you see, I can do this within this job role. Yeah. It's like, this is just too good to be true for me. So yeah, I love it. And so I met with them, and it's like, oh my goodness, they'll be our charity plus the Leeds charity. The Leeds charity is working with babies that have heart defects. Right. So 2 very different charities. Yeah. But I'd met with the York charity just to discuss the launch and everything. I came out of that meeting and I said to my husband, dude, come with me. I feel like Julie's coming home, because the work that they do around obviously the rescues, what they do with mental health, education, oh my goodness, they do so much. And so that will be one of my ambitions this year, that not only will Garbutt and Elliott raise money towards, their cause, but equally the challenge will be to raise the profile and the good work that they do within York and the communities within York, without a shadow of a doubt. I am so proud that Garbutt and Elliott have chosen them this year.
Fantastic. I think we'll end it there, because that's such a lovely moment too. So be proud. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you very much, Ross. Thank you.
In our conversation, Julie spoke about how grateful she is for all the opportunities that have come her way in her career. She's had a great career. And it made me think about the impact of being grateful on our well-being and on our lives. When we're children, of course, most of us are taught to say thank you for gifts we receive and to be grateful for what we have. But what impact does being grateful actually have on our well-being? So I did a search, and there's a massive amount of information out there on the power of an attitude of gratitude and stuff like that. In particular, I found an article published by the Harvard Medical School in America on some research that showed how giving thanks can actually make you happier. It covers various studies done by professors and psychologists. They can't actually prove cause and effect so that being grateful actually leads to something, but most of the studies published on the topic do support the link between gratitude and an individual's well-being. Other studies showed how gratitude can improve relationships. For example, there's a study of couples who found that individuals who took time to express gratitude for their partner not only felt more positive towards that other person, but also felt more comfortable talking very openly about concerns about their relationship. Managers who remember to say thank you to people who work for them may find that those employees feel motivated to work harder. And there was a really interesting piece of research at the University of Pennsylvania that randomly divided university fundraisers into 2 groups. One group made phone calls to ask alumni for donations in the same way they always had. The second group, who were assigned to work on a different day, received a pep talk from the director of annual giving, who told the fundraisers she was grateful for their efforts. Very interestingly, during the following week, the university employees who heard her message of gratitude made 50% more fundraising calls than those who did not. I thought that was really interesting. Anyway, gratitude is a way for people to appreciate what they have in their lives right now, instead of always reaching for something new in the hope that it might make them happier, or thinking they can't feel satisfied until every physical and material need is met. I think this is really important. It means that we can be happy now rather than waiting for something big to arrive. Being grateful helps people refocus on what they have instead of what they lack. And although it may feel contrived at first, this mental state grows stronger with use and practice. So it's quite useful to get into a habit of being grateful every day. So here's some top tips on ways to cultivate gratitude on a regular basis. The number one thing that I love is writing a thank you note. So you can make yourself happier and nurture your relationships with another person by writing a thank you letter, expressing your appreciation of that person's impact on your life. I've actually received these notes, and it does it's an amazing thing to receive a thank you note. You can send it, or this suggests in this paper that, better yet, you deliver it and read it in person. I love that idea. So make a habit of sending at least one gratitude letter a month, it says, and once in a while, actually write one for yourself. Be grateful to yourself. Or you can thank someone mentally. If you haven't got time to write a note, it might help just to think about someone who's done something nice for you and mentally thank that individual. There's a growing trend in keeping a gratitude journal. And I love this as well. If you make it a habit to write down or share with someone your thoughts about the gifts you've received each day. This could be as simple as appreciating lessons you've learned from something that you didn't go as you'd hoped. So I think that's really good as well, isn't it? Being grateful for something, just a lesson learned. So it doesn't have to be something that you've actually received, but something that you've learned that day. So you could pick a time at the end of every day maybe to sit down and write about the good things that have happened, reflecting on what went right or what you're grateful for, what went wrong and what you've learned from it. Sometimes maybe you could pick a number, so set yourself a target of 3 to 5 things that you write down every day. As you write, think about the sensations you felt when something good happened to you. This is about getting some emotion into it, because remember, emotion stands for energy in motion. So how do you feel when you feel grateful for something? And then finally, meditate. Mindfulness meditation means focusing on the present moment without judgment. There's a growing trend in people adopting mindful meditation. People often focus on a word or a phrase while they're just breathing and concentrating on the moment. But you could also focus on what you're grateful for, even if it's just the warmth of the sun, the singing of the birds. It's easy to be grateful for everything. So that's my top tip for today. I hope you've enjoyed that. Be grateful. Say thank you to somebody today and write a thank you note. Be grateful for yourself. This has been Ros Jones. Thanks for listening. This has been your Ros Jones Bold Business Bits podcast show. If you'd like any further information about anything we've discussed today, please just get in touch. Go to businesscoachingyorkshire.co.uk. Please join me again next week when I'll be speaking with another phenomenal female business boss with bold business bits. And remember to subscribe to my show. Thanks for listening.